Welcome to Neuropulse. Today, we are embarking on a comprehensive journey into the most essential pillar of human health, performance, and longevity, sleep. Most people view sleep as a period of inactivity, a time when the brain shuts off. This could not be further from the truth. Sleep is a highly active, metabolically demanding state of neuroregeneration. It is the only time when your brain's glymphatic system, essentially the waste management system of the brain, turns on to wash away toxic proteins like amyloid beta, which are linked to neurodegenerative diseases. To master your sleep, you must first understand the two-force system that governs when you feel tired and when you feel awake. The first force is adenosine. From the moment you wake up, a chemical called adenosine begins to build up in your brain. Think of it as sleep pressure. The longer you are awake, the more adenosine accumulates, binding to receptors and telling your system it's time to shut down. Now, this is where most people make their first major mistake: caffeine. When you drink coffee, the moment you wake up, the caffeine molecule, which looks structurally similar to adenosine, parks in those receptors, blocking the sleep signal. However, the adenosine is still building up in the background. When the caffeine finally wears off in the afternoon, you experience the afternoon crash because a massive wave of accumulated adenosine suddenly floods your system. The Huberman protocol for this: delay your caffeine intake by 90 to 120 minutes. This allows your brain to naturally clear out the remaining adenosine from the night before, ensuring a stable energy arc throughout the entire day. But adenosine is only half the story. The second force is the circadian timing system. Nestled in your hypothalamus is a small cluster of neurons called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN. This is your internal master clock. It doesn't know what time it is by looking at a watch. It knows what time it is by looking at the sun, the light-dark cycle, melatonin. If you want to master your sleep, you must master your light exposure. This is the most powerful zeitgeber or time giver for your brain. When photons of light, specifically blue-yellow contrast light from the low-angle sun, hit your specialized retinal ganglion cells, they send a direct signal to the SCN. This signal does two things. It triggers the timed release of cortisol, which acts as a wake-up signal for your entire body. It sets a timer for the release of melatonin, the hormone of sleepiness, about 12 to 14 hours later. If you fail to get sunlight in your eyes within the first hour of waking, your body never gets the start signal. Your melatonin rhythm becomes phase delayed, meaning you won't feel tired until 2:00 a.m., leading to chronic insomnia. In the UK or US winters, where sunlight is scarce, you must use artificial light, but nothing replaces the power of the sun. Conversely, light exposure between 10:00 p.m. and 4 a.m. is a disaster for your neurochemistry. Even a small amount of blue light from a smartphone during these hours can suppress melatonin and activate the habenula, a brain region that can lower your mood and increase anxiety for days to come. Temperature regulation and the sleep switch. Now we move to a biological mechanism that is often overlooked but is absolutely critical for the transition into deep sleep, core body temperature. Your brain and body operate on a thermal rhythm that mirrors your circadian clock. To fall asleep and stay asleep, your core body temperature must drop by approximately 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit. If your body cannot trigger this drop, your brain will simply not flip the switch into a sleep state, regardless of how tired you feel. This is why many people struggle to sleep in a warm room. The science suggests that the optimal room temperature for neuroregeneration is around 65 F18C. But there is a counterintuitive Huberman protocol here: the hot bath or sauna effect. When you take a hot shower or sit in a sauna before bed, you might think you are warming your body up. However, the surface of your skin undergoes vasodilation. Your blood vessels expand to release heat. When you step out of that hot environment, your body rapidly sheds core heat, causing a sharp internal temperature drop. This rapid cooling is a powerful signal to the hypothalamus that it is time for sleep. Furthermore, we must discuss the role of physical movement. Exercise increases core temperature. If you perform high-intensity interval training, hit too close to bedtime, specifically within 2 to 3 hours, your temperature remains elevated and your nervous system stays in a sympathetic fight-or-flight state. For peak performance, the data suggests that vigorous exercise should be completed early in the day, while evening activities should focus on cooling the body and calming the mind. The 90-minute cycles, REM versus deep sleep. Once you fall asleep, your brain doesn't just enter a flat state of rest, you move through 90-minute ultradian cycles. Understanding the architecture of these cycles is the difference between waking up groggy and waking up with neural clarity. In the first half of the night, your sleep is dominated by non-REM deep sleep. This is when the body focuses on physical repair, growth hormone release, and the glymphatic wash we discussed earlier. If you go to bed too late, say at 2:00 a.m., You miss the majority of this deep restorative phase even if you sleep for 8 hours. In the second half of the night, your brain shifts toward REM, rapid eye movement sleep. This is the emotional first aid phase. REM sleep is where dreaming occurs and where the brain processes emotional trauma and complex learning. This is why, when you are sleep deprived, you feel emotionally on edge or irritable. Your brain hasn't had the chance to disconnect the emotion from the memory of the day's events. To optimize these cycles, consistency is king. If you go to bed at 10 p.m. on weekdays but 2 a.m. on weekends, you suffer from what we call social jet lag. Your brain's chemical systems are constantly trying to recalibrate to a moving target, leading to brain fog and decreased cognitive output in the UK and US corporate environments.